raising protests across different parts of the country and also promising to take this up in the Supreme Court. And then we have our deep dive, where we take you through the real hero. Akshay Kumar's Kesariya 2 has been pegged on a hero that may have been forgotten. We definitely want to celebrate him today. And finally, on what's breaking the internet, Donald Trump's tariff, as he goes on a tariff slapping spree across countries. Here's an island which has only penguins not spared. That's resulted in memes that you will crack up with. Taking you through all of that as usual, the headlines first. BJP steps up demand for resignation of Pinarayi Vijayan after nod for prosecution of daughter Veena Vijayan in the CMRL payoff scam. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin calls a meeting with party MLAs on April 9th. The centre rejects the state's demand for NEET exemption. Don't push us to the wall, says Omar Abdullah to the centre amid row over transfer of 48 Jammu and Kashmir Administrative Service officers. Asks the centre not to undermine people's massive mandate in Jammu and Kashmir. I'm not in the BJP Tamil Nadu state leadership race. That's what Annamalai says, as he's likely to step down as BJP state president. ED raids Gokulam Gopalan's offices, the man who was behind making the film Empuraan. In fact, the raids are carried out in Kerala and Tamil Nadu amid Empuraan's box office success. Prime Minister Modi and Bangladesh interim government's chief hold a 40-minute bilateral talk in Bangkok. The issue of security for Hindus as well as Sheikh Hasina's extradition discussed. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his way to Sri Lanka after a 2-day trip to Thailand visit. First major retaliation, China imposes 34% tariff on imports of all US products starting April 10th. As Trump slaps 26% tariffs on India, he goes on to remind the world that tariffs on the pharma and semiconductor industries will be announced soon. US imposes duty on imports to the tune of 26 to 27%. India's pharma, the biggest exports to the United States, might just be impacted with this new announcement to come. Let me start with our first story on the language debate. It seems like this time it's slightly different. Parents in Hyderabad, especially from CBSE schools, are now up in arms over the state government's move to make Telugu mandatory as a second language until class 10. From holding meetings with officials to launching a full-blown public campaign, parents now are fighting back under the banner Freedom to Choose Language. Now, many say that schools have already started scrapping options like Hindi and Urdu, leaving students now, some with no Telugu background, scrambling to adapt. They're calling this move sudden, unfair, saying that this could entirely mess up board examination preparations that students are currently indulging in for their better academic performance. This sudden announcement could derail them. Thousands are now gearing up for a massive dharna that's due to happen on Saturday in Hyderabad's Dharna Chowk, where the parents are going to insist that the government now ease this restriction, at least for the current batches. Well, it seems like the parents are also due to warn the government of legal action if at all the rule is not revoked. Parents insist that they are not against Telugu, but instead they should be offered a little time. They say that Telugu should be made at least a third language so it does not impact entirely students who have no idea or incline towards Telugu itself, because many of them also speak Urdu, Hindi in Telangana, Hyderabad. for them, this could be dampening. Well, parents asking for a leeway here. Will the Telangana give any leeway is the question. Remember, this comes right in time when states like Karnataka and Tamil Nadu are pushing hard for local languages to be made compulsory second language. Schools reopening now in June. The pressure on the Telangana government now falls. It's only mounting. Remains to be seen if the government will hold its ground and how far will the parents push so that their students move forward seamlessly. Phones in prison and murders being carried out with just one call, sitting in jail already. This is what's the story that's unfolding in Karnataka's central jail, Parappana Agrahara. Remember, this is the same prison where actor Darshan was seen using a phone, video calling some people while he was accused of murder. Same prison back in the limelight. Despite being behind bars, criminals in Bengaluru's Parappana Agrahara Central Jail are far from being cut off. Mobile phones continue to be smuggled in, and they are not just being used for casual chats here. We hear inmates are blackmailing people, are moving money, even plotting murders from within that high security prison. The latest shocker here is a murder that happened in a Soladevanahallli bar on 4th of March, where 5 men attacked and killed a man named Balaram. And turns out that mastermind was already seated in Parappana Agrahara jail. Manoj alias Kencha, locked up under the Gunda Act, is believed to have orchestrated the entire hit here while sitting in prison cell with the help of a mobile phone that he was allowed to use. This isn't just breach, it's a complete breakdown of law and order. The judge hearing the case was furious. He slammed the jail authorities for failing to stop the use of mobile phones inside prison despite mobile jammers being put in place. The fact that even a murder accused like Manoj can operate so freely has now exposed this gaping hole within the system itself. The officer has now written to the Director General of Karnataka Prisons, flagging the jammer failure and demanding urgent action. But the big question here is, of course, how did this go under the nose of these jail officials unnoticed? If this could be something that the officials knew but kept silent, then there should be a probe that should be initiated with immediate effect. If a murder can be plotted from inside jail, really in control here. Public safety is of course at stake, and unless the system wakes up, this won't be the last crime dialed out of prison. All right, here's a story on Karnataka deciding to take a big step towards protecting gig workers, those who ride around doing your fast-track deliveries. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has announced that the state will soon introduce a 5% cess on e-commerce and aggregator platforms to create a dedicated welfare board for gig workers. This comes after a high-level meeting in Delhi with Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, where the focus was on implementing Gig Workers Welfare Act, a key promise from the Congress's Bharat Jodo Yatra campaign. Now, once the bill is passed, workers employed by platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, Zomato, Swiggy, Ola, Uber, Dunzo are all going to be eligible for social security benefits. That includes health insurance, education support and loans, which are typically unavailable to those in the informal sector. The government says in Karnataka that a small contribution calculated on the distance travelled or the tasks completed will be added to a welfare fund, and the state will also pitch in to cover board expenses. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah says, and I quote, "This is about building an inclusive economy where no one is left behind." But not everyone's on board here. Industry bodies like NASSCOM have raised concerns. In fact, they've warned that this could really strain e-commerce firms, especially startups already working on very narrow margins. We're looking at a political fight, and a very interesting one in Karnataka through AI warfare that pans out in Karnataka between the BJP and the Congress in the state, locking horns through this digital war. The use of AI-generated images, it seems to have reached its peak on social media. The state unit of the BJP has launched an aggressive campaign against the Congress, deploying AI-generated content to criticize the ruling party over rising prices. The BJP has used popular AI-generated Ghibli-style images to launch an offensive against the Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and his administration, the one that you see there on our screens. Let's have a look now at some of the posts that have been put out as protests over price hike gains momentum. BJP social media accounts have actively targeted the Congress government. In a recent post on X, the party mocking Siddaramaiah by promoting an AI tool to generate the image depicting the Karnataka Chief Minister holding a coconut shell, basically to say that he's given nothing to the state of Karnataka. The post captioned, AI prompt, image of Karnataka CM along with his contributions to Karnataka. Nil. That's more or less what they wanted to imply. BJP further intensifying its digital campaign with meme-driven attacks. One such post compared Siddaramaiah to Hollywood actor Vin Diesel, branding him as costly diesel in a reference to the recent fuel price hikes. The BJP has not just limited itself to AI images, they've also created an AI video. They portrayed the Chief Minister as a teacher educating Congress leaders with an alphabet lesson highlighting state policies. Another image that you see there on our screen showing Siddaramaiah seen as Aurangzeb. Well, Congress also using AI to target the BJP over internal strife in the Saffron party. This is an image that came in a little earlier showing how B.Y. Vijayendra, the BJP state president and the leader of opposition R. Ashoka and expelled BJP MLA Basangaur Patil Yatnal are all wrestlers wrestling with one another. The post suggested that Yatnal had now passed on the responsibility of ousting Vijayendra to R. Ashoka. And that's the image there. Seems like the Congress poked into the internal strife of the BJP. The BJP has come back with the most innovative posts condemning the Congress on price rise. Waqf bill has been passed both in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. But the debate, the protests and the demands to revoke it still continues. Let me take you through the updates on the Waqf Amendment Bill that was passed in both houses. In fact, we saw large-scale protests that came in from Kolkata, Chennai, Ahmedabad, Mumbai. Members of the minority community staging a protest at the Park Circus crossing in Kolkata, demanding its withdrawal. We saw right after Friday prayers, large crowds gathering on city roads, raising slogans against the legislation. Various Muslim organizations in Gujarat's Ahmedabad also staging protests, voicing their opposition to the bill's provisions. And then you have images that came in from Tamil Nadu, where TVK party members held a statewide protest on Friday today, where we saw cadres, especially of the TVK party and Muslim community in groups who joined in to participate in this demonstration held by the TVK as a party against the Waqf bill. Similar protests, members of the Muslim community against the Waqf bill came together, raising slogans. Muslim leaders and opposition parties allege that the bill is unconstitutional and infringes on the rights of India's Muslim minority. The government, however, has maintained that the bill aims to better contributions towards the Muslim community, basically streamline the Waqf properties, ensure that it's managed in such a way where its revenue goes for the benefit and upliftment of the Muslim community at large. The centre, the NDA, who's passed this bill, pushed for it, has often condemned the opposition for opposing something like this, which in fact is for the upliftment of the minorities. This has been the centre's stance, but the Congress has now openly declared that this fight will continue, and it will continue at the Supreme Court. They've promised to petition against this bill in the top court. Congress leader Muhammad Javed has filed a petition in the apex court already challenging this bill. Now, on the X platform, Congress leader Jairam Ramesh termed this passage of the bill as an assault by Narendra Modi government on the Indian Constitution, saying that his party would continue to resist it. He says the INC will very soon be challenging this in the Supreme Court, the constitutionality of the Waqf Amendment Bill of 2024. Parliament has cleared the Waqf Bill, remember, in a 13-hour-long debate in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. 2 days where the Parliament went on till nearly 2 a.m. The bill was passed in Rajya Sabha with 128 members voting in favour, 95 against. In the Lok Sabha, it was passed with 288 voting in support, while 232 opposed it.
लोकसभा और राज्यसभा से पारित हुआ है। अभी इसे गुजरना है राष्ट्रपति के कंसेंट पे, उसके बाद लीगल बैटल से गुजरना है। ये सब हो जाने दें, हमें वही करना है जो संवैधानिक हो। मौजूदा जो पारित हुआ है लोकसभा राज से, ये अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है, पूरी तरीके से ये उल्लंघन करता है जो मूलभूत अधिकार 25, 26, 14, 15 भारत के संविधान में है। तो हम उस पर अध्ययन करने के बाद कदम उठाएंगे और हम कोई असंवैधानिक कार्य न करेंगे और न चाहेंगे देश में।
All right, trouble brewing for Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan's daughter, Veena Vijayan, as she's been named in a corruption case. Now, the heat is mounting on the Pinarayi Vijayan family because this time it doesn't seem like it's just political noise, it's a lot more. His daughter is under scanner for corruption. The Union Corporate Affairs Ministry has given a green light to prosecute Veena Vijayan, the daughter of Pinarayi Vijayan, Chief Minister of Kerala. Now, what's the charge here? She allegedly received 2.7 crores from a private mining firm, the Kochi Minerals and Rutile Limited, with zero work to show for it. 160-page charge sheet by the SFIO, that's the Serious Fraud Investigation Office, now claims this was fake billing, fund misuse and a complete sham. So, who's named here? Veena, her company Exalogic Solutions, CMRL's top boss, 27 people in total, all charged under Section 447 of the Companies Act, serious fraud. Now, what's the possible fallout if proven guilty? We're looking at nearly 6 to 10 years of jail term for Veena and fines up to 3 times the alleged fraud amount. The claim, the allegation is that nearly 182 crores may have been embezzled. But how did this really come to light? In August last year, a report revealed Veena's firm had received massive payments between 2017 and 2020 without delivering any IT services. A formal agreement did exist, but investigators say it was just for show. Now, the opposition is smelling blood. Of course, they're demanding Pinarayi Vijayan's resignation.
Office included the daughter of our Honorable Chief Minister as an accused person, and she was implicated in the case. Now she has to face the trial. The allegation is that she received and her company received 2.7 crores rupees from a private company without providing any service to that company. This is a very serious allegation. So the opposition in Kerala demanding the resignation of the Honorable Chief Minister. He has to resign. He has to take the moral responsibility for the same, because this is a serious case.
So, of course, the Kerala government has responded. The law minister says this is pure politics. We are being targeted. Rajiv has hit back, reminding everyone that 3 vigilance courts and had earlier found no wrongdoing. He says, and I quote, the judiciary and the public have given a clean chit. Clearly, this is politically motivated. Now, but the BJP not buying this stance of the Kerala government. State Chief Rajiv Chandrasekhar is turning up the heat, calling this a case of large-scale corruption and demanding the Chief Minister to step down.
The Chief Minister has no authority to continue in power. Because one, moral responsibility. Second, Chief Minister is the authority for KSIDC, Kerala State Industrial Development Corporation, which owns 13% shares in the company against whom this is being, investigation is happening. So it means he has committed a fraud. His daughter has accepted the money, he has paid the money. So the Chief Minister has no right to continue in office even for a moment. Chief Minister should resign.
All right, will this bombshell now bring down the Pinarayi Vijayan government? We've got to see, it's an election year. The ramifications could be huge. Shifting our focus to Punjab, a woman constable in Punjab who seems to be a social media influencer as well has been arrested for carrying heroin with her, possibly selling it and making a quick buck with it. These are images of that woman constable in Bathinda. Constable Amandeep Kaur was arrested with 17.7 grams of heroin. She was posted in Mansa but attached to police lines in Bathinda. Inspector General Sukhchain Singh Gill said that she's been dismissed from service with immediate effect. The action comes under Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann's direction in the state's ongoing war on drugs. Imagine here you have the police department trying to crack down on drugs. One constable here seems to be selling it. The police will also investigate the constable's properties to check if there is anything that she may have acquired through that money earned. But from the social media posts, we see she's flaunting her watch, she's flaunting her luxury items, and there's a lot of talk around whether she may have earned a lot of money selling drugs. Investigation now continues.
ਸ਼ਾਮ ਬਠਿੰਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੇਡੀ ਕਾਂਸਟੇਬਲ ਅਮਨਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ ਨੂੰ ਗ੍ਰਿਫਤਾਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਬਠਿੰਡਾ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ 17 ਗ੍ਰਾਮ ਹੈਰੋਇਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਇਹ ਲੇਡੀ ਕਾਂਸਟੇਬਲ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨੰਬਰ ਸੀਗਾ 621 ਮਾਨਸਾ ਦਾ ਨੰਬਰ ਆ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਬਠਿੰਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਸੀਗੀ। ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਰੰਤ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮਾਨਯੋਗ ਮੁੱਖ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀਆਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਖਤ ਹਦਾਇਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਡਰੱਗਸ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੜਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਸਖਤ ਤੋਂ ਸਖਤ ਕਾਰਵਾਈ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਵੇ। ਤਾਂ ਤੁਰੰਤ ਐਸਐਸਪੀ ਮਾਨਸਾ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਕੇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੂਰਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਜਰ ਫੋਲੋ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਰਟੀਕਲ 311 ਦੇ ਤਹਿਤ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਡਿਸਮਿਸ ਕੀਤਾ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਇਹਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਜਾਂਚ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਇਲੀਗਲ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀ ਜੇ ਪਾਈ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਉਸੇ ਸਖਤੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਜਿੱਠਿਆ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਜਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨਜਿੱਠਦੀ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ।
Taking you through some international news, we're looking at nearly 250 passengers, India bound, currently stranded at Turkish military airport. Now, it's been nearly 40 hours, we hear, and more than 250 Virgin Atlantic passengers, including several Indians, nearly 200 Indians, have finally landed in Mumbai. That ordeal seems to have ended for them. The flight, originally scheduled from London to Mumbai, made an emergency diversion to the Diyarbakir airport in Turkey, a military airport. First it claimed emergency landing because of an emergency case. Someone had health complications. Then they turned the situation around to say that there was a technical glitch. What followed was frustrating wait with passengers stuck in the terminal under challenging conditions. One of the passengers said that many had to sleep on the floor with no access to blankets and no vegetarian food available during the wait. In fact, we have those visuals of passengers. If we could play that out. All right. Virgin Atlantic in its statement said that passengers were provided with hotel accommodations and many of them were communicated with, while some others may not have been. Communication will be established. But thankfully, they're back home.
We've been stranded here in the Turkish airport. We don't know which one since yesterday. I guess my baby is the youngest passenger on the flight. She's just 5 months old. I've been requesting for the stroller since we landed, but I have been denied that. I've not been given any baby food, which is mine obviously. It's not theirs. I'm not requesting. It's mine. They've just denied everything. I'm not sure how this is going to end up because we have been stranded here for like more than 20 hours now and there's no reply. Our family is concerned. Everybody is concerned, and there's just lack of assistance and lack of responsibility.
All right, here you have Prime Minister Modi, who's finally met with Mohammad Yunus, the Bangladesh interim chief. Yunus and Modi met on the sidelines of the 6th BIMSTEC summit in Bangkok. This was your first face-to-face meeting since the fall of Sheikh Hasina's government in Bangladesh. During talks, Prime Minister Modi is said to have expressed serious concerns over the safety and security of minorities, especially Hindus in Bangladesh. In a statement, the Ministry of External Affairs said that the Prime Minister stressed the need for thorough investigations into recent atrocities against the minorities. Prime Minister Modi has also underlined India's desire for a constructive relationship with Bangladesh, one based on mutual respect and sensitivity. Now, in a post on social media, Prime Minister Modi has said, and I quote, "India remains committed to people-centric relationship with Bangladesh. I reiterated our support for peace, stability, inclusivity and democracy in the country, discussed measures to prevent illegal border crossings and expressed our serious concerns for the safety and well-being of Hindus and other minorities." Prime Minister Modi had also raised concerns over illegal border crossings and raising extremism, calling it a threat to regional stability as well. The Ministry of External Affairs here in India, Randhir Jaiswal, has said India will support Bangladesh as it assumes chairmanship of BIMSTEC and pushes the group's development agenda forward.
Prime Minister also met today with Professor Mohammad Yunus, the Chief Advisor of the interim government of Bangladesh. Prime Minister reiterated India's support for a democratic, stable, peaceful, progressive and inclusive Bangladesh. He underlined that India believed in a people-centric approach to the relationship and highlighted the cooperation between the two countries over a long period of time that has delivered tangible benefits to people in both countries. Minorities की अल्पसंख्यकों की जो वहाँ पे हालत है और इस विषय को लेके बातचीत में प्रधानमंत्री जी ने इस मुद्दे को खुल के सामने रखा. इसके बारे में हमारी गहरी चिंता उन्होंने जताई, प्रोफेसर यूनुस को अवगत कराया और उन्होंने अपनी आशा जताई कि आखिरकार ये जो मुद्दा है इसकी जो जिम्मेदारी है वो बांग्लादेश सरकार की है और उन्होंने आशा जताई कि बांग्लादेश सरकार इस विषय पे अपनी जिम्मेदारियों पे खरी उतरेगी.
All right, let me take you through Trump tariffs and the India impact. We're looking at many countries now responding to Trump on the tariff that he slapped. Let's start with China. China has hit back at the United States with a fresh wave of tariffs and trade restrictions following sweeping duties imposed by President Donald Trump. Beijing has announced a 34% tariff on all US goods effective April 10th. It also imposed controls on key rare earth exports that are critical for high-tech manufacturing. These export restrictions take effect immediately. In addition, 11 US-linked firms have been added to China's unreliable entity list, allowing Beijing to take punitive action against them. Meanwhile, a White House document that's been released shows Trump administration has revised reciprocal tariffs on at least 14 countries, including India. India's tariff rate, initially pegged at 27%, has now been slightly revised down to 26%. President Trump has basically called Modi a friend, saying New Delhi has not treated Washington fairly. So despite being that friend, India still imposes high tariffs on US goods. That's what Trump had said, but he says now it's America first. That's your focus. So what does this really mean for Indian exports? A Deloitte report outlines several sectors likely to feel the heat from this tariff hike in India. Textiles and apparels. India exported over 8 billion worth of garments to the United States last year. Tariffs of up to 27% could hurt competitiveness, though India still fares better than rivals like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Vietnam, which faces even higher tariffs, but no good for India at this point. Another sector that will be impacted is pharmaceuticals. India's stronghold in generics may find a hurdle here with new compliance rules. Remember, for now they say that pharma is exempted, but it seems like Trump has come forward to say that pharma too will be included soon. And electronics and IT components. This sector may see reduced competitiveness. However, semiconductors remain exempt due to their strategic importance. Agriculture, another sector that will take a big hit for India. Exports like rice, shrimp, vegetable oils worth nearly $5 billion could be affected. And of course, automobiles, like Trump has said, all foreign-made automobiles will have a sweeping 27% tariff against them. Though exempt from this latest tariff hike, autos and components are now covered under a separate section 232 for India, basically amounting to 25% tariff for Indian. As trade tensions mount, experts warn that global supply chains, already stretched, may face further disruption. And remember, we're looking at markets crashing post Trump's tariff announcement. Taking you through the South Korean politics. It's quite hectic and tense at this point. Seismic shift there in South Korean politics, with President Yoon Suk Yeol now been removed from office. The Constitutional Court on Friday upheld the parliament's impeachment over his controversial martial law order last year. I'm taking you through exactly what's happening in South Korea.
자유헌정 질서를
South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol was ousted from office on Friday over his short-lived attempt at martial law. The Constitutional Court's 8 justices ruled unanimously to uphold Parliament's motion to impeach Yoon. The turmoil set off since his surprise declaration of martial law last year sparked the country's worst political crisis in decades.
피청구인 대통령 윤석열을
On Friday, the court's acting Chief Justice said Yoon violated his duty as president by taking actions that were beyond the powers given to him under the Constitution. Cheers erupted from thousands of anti-Yoon protesters upon hearing the ruling. There have been months of protests, both in support of Yoon and of his removal, after his martial law decree in December. He has said it was needed to root out, quote, anti-state elements. Yoon lifted the decree 6 hours later after lawmakers defied efforts by security forces to seal off parliament and then voted to reject it. Yoon has said he never intended to fully impose emergency military rule and tried to downplay the fallout. He argued he was trying to sound the alarm over the main opposition party's abuse of its parliamentary majority. The Constitutional Court rejected most of his argument, saying there were legal avenues to address disagreements. A lawyer for Yoon told reporters on Friday that the court's ruling was legally implausible and, quote, a political decision. On Friday, it remained unclear if the political chaos that has unfolded since December will now be eased by the court ruling. A presidential election is now required to take place within 60 days, according to the country's constitution.
그 어떠한 결정이 내려지더라도
Prime Minister Han Duck-soo will continue to serve as acting president until a new leader is inaugurated. In January, Yoon became the first sitting South Korean president to be arrested. The 64-year-old also faces a separate criminal trial on insurrection charges.
On that note, it's an end to our Day to Night segment. We're coming back with Deep Dive, where our top focus is on a real hero that we want to celebrate tonight. A man who may have been forgotten, but surely will now have his moment of glory yet again in the 21st century. We're going to take you through a lot more. To stay with us on the other side.
What does it take to be the greatest in the world? There is one thing which truly sets you apart. Your inner strength. 소리를 D&D Reborn. True inner strength.
now look at what kind of advertising which is going into the print right now. I had never seen, say, a Mercedes S-Class or GLS getting advertised anywhere. You see advertisements of GLS where? In Economic Times and other newspapers. I had never seen Maserati getting advertised anywhere. Do you see advertising of a Maserati on TV or in digital media? No, you don't. Where do you see it? On newspapers. When a new mobile phone is launched, where do you see the ads? First, newspapers. Newspaper is still a very the first port of call for the premium products. And gradually what's going to happen is the newspaper industry will flourish because premium products will be featured over there, not something which is very massy and you want to hyper personalize something like that, right? You want to go mass, you want to go premium, you want to sell something very premium like say a Maserati or say S-Class Mercedes or say a Porsche, for example. Porsche also advertised, by the way. Recently.
And also all these multi-crore homes that are being sold on the first page of newspapers.
So how do they sell it? They can't send you a text and say that, okay, here's the home, right?
Here's the home, it's 5 crores.
It's 5 crores. First of all, you think that it's a spam, right?
What is to the nines? In literal terms, it's perfection. But to us, it's not just a phrase, it's an attitude. One that starts at your desk and sends a statement to the world. To the nines is about taking charge. It's a way of life where every seam, every fold, is crafted with excellence. It's timeless elegance and uncompromising quality made for the corner office. It's the ideas that inspire redefining order and elevating the tabletop. To the nines, for the leaders of today and the visionaries of tomorrow.
In the age of OTT platforms, to watch or not to watch? That's the question. Because you are what you watch. It's our review, but your choice to skip it or stream it. Hello and welcome. I'm Krishna Kumar. This is Skip It, Stream It.
Welcome back. The real versus real heroes. A controversy that broke out with the film Empuraan, Mohanlal's film, the much awaited sequel to Lucifer, has now reignited a conversation that goes beyond cinema. It's no longer just about storytelling. It's about whose stories get told and whose don't. From the time Empuraan hit screens with Mohanlal returning as this enigmatic political fixer, Stephen Nedumpalli and Prithviraj, who essays the trusted aide of his, Zaid Masood. We saw right-wing groups quick to protest, condemning it, as there were references to the 2002 Godhra riots. Now, amid this mounting pressure, filmmakers agreed to chop off some scenes. 27 of them, 128 seconds precisely, was taken off that film itself after outrage. Now, the revised version, as it's all set to hit theatres, there seems to be a deeper conversation that's now reckoning. Who are our real heroes? Are we really not talking about those who we should talk about? Why aren't our films really talking about those stories that are untold? Because while fiction may stir up controversy, the truth can certainly shake the very foundation of power. Now, look at the kind of films that are making waves at the box office. If you're looking at stories that are rooted to history, making waves, Chhava, based on the life of Sambhaji Maharaj, RRR, even though it was fictionalized, channels we saw extensively, RRR, the film itself, showing how it rebelled against the colonial rule. Something that really struck with the audience. Audiences are connecting with such new kind of patriotic cinema. And now a new name enters the spotlight with the recent Kesari Chapter 2. Here's to celebrating Sir Chettur Shankaran Nair. He was a lawyer, a judge, a nationalist, and a man who took on the might of the British Empire head-on. He wasn't just the president of the Indian National Congress in 1897 or the former Advocate General of Madras. He was in fact the man who dared to challenge General Reginald Dyer in court, the butcher of the Jallianwala Bagh. He exposed the colonial brutality, resigned from the Viceroy's Executive Council in protest, and authored the explosive book Gandhi and Anarchy, risking it all to speak up. Yet how many of us really know his name? That's about to change. The trailer of Kesari Chapter 2 just dropped, starring Akshay Kumar as Sir Nair, based on the book, The Case That Shook the Empire. This is the book that was written by Nair's grandson himself. The Case That Shook the Empire. This book has now been turned into a film, essayed by Akshay Kumar, and these are the heroes that the country needs to talk about. In fact, I have with me Raghu Palat and Pushpa Palat themselves to give us a deep dive into what this film speaks of. It's our pleasure to have you on board here on News 9. Raghu Palat, you're the author along with your wife Pushpa Palat. Both of you have decided to pen this book called The Case That Shook the Empire.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir Shankaran Nair certainly deserves a lot more than just a footnote in our textbooks. And your book now has encouraged filmmakers to turn it around into a full film. And none other than Akshay Kumar, do you feel that this has done justice to his great glory? The fact that you tried to preserve his legacy through your book and now to a film, do you finally see that the historic wrong is reversed?
I think the main thing is the book attempted to do, and now that the movie will reveal, is the atrocities that the English perpetrated on Indians. It is a forgotten chapter, and that chapter is now being
unfolded to the whole world. Actually, absolutely delighted. We didn't. I mean, the reach of Hindi cinema is something else. And yes, we wrote a story about a member who's very dear to Raghu, his great grandfather, great grandfather actually. And well, now we wrote it because when we started writing it, we thought, you know, there's much more to say about this man. He did contribute a lot. He contributed to independence. He contributed to social reform. There was so much more. And we had the book published. Now that Dharma has taken it on and actually told his story, I think Raghu and I are really happy, really delighted. Because, you know, you need, there are so many people who have contributed. Why are they not acknowledged?
And there was so much that he had done actually. You know, towards the freedom movement, he believed in home rule and he worked tirelessly towards that. After he resigned from the Viceroy's Executive Council, he was in the Secretary of State for India's Council in England, working towards self-rule for India.
You know, and from what I see here and what I read on him, thanks to you and your book, it clearly shows how a voice like his and a name like him was very consciously ignored and sidelined over the years. You know, there have been films, there have been lots of stories, biographies of famous people, those who fought in their own right leading up to what we're living today, thanks to such stalwarts. But none of them really mentioned Sir Nair extensively. Gautam, if you could...
That is changing. That is changing. You must always realize that history is always written by the victors.
So, yes, and that's all changing.
And Sir Shankar Nair believed that everything should be, he was a man of law, highly principled, a man of law, and he wanted everything by the process, the due process of law.
You know, and Gautam, your take on history being selective. You know, do you believe that history was selectively written to glorify just a few voices, while someone like Sir Nair, who challenged both the British and the national leadership, were very conveniently left out?
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Otherwise, he was. The fact is that he was not mentioned, but everyone has their day, and it's his day now. I mean, look at Casey. It's a phenomenal film, and it's going to go out worldwide on 18th. So, yes, his voice certainly heard, maybe many years later. How many years later?
101 years.
101
we
years.
see how enthusiastic you are. But I'm bringing our historian here to give us more. Gautam, that question for you.
Good evening. It's a great pleasure to be here and to hear the words from the family member himself. You know, it makes me wonder that just because we haven't heard of some heroes